Hello and welcome to OTC. My name is Buddy1927. As you can see, we're on the T1 Cunningham, and I'm revisiting our first episode. A lot of people had complaints that it was too blurry in the video and they could not see what I was talking about. So I'm re-recording this section, re-recording this episode and calling it OTC 1A. And the reason why behind that is so it's a lot more clearer and you can see what I'm talking about in the video. Okay, we're going to start off with the American line. We're going to take a look at the tech tree real quick. And our goal is to get as quickly as possible to tier 10. And that is our main goal. I'm going to show you a couple tricks that I did. But basically, I'm going to show you how to quickly grind to the tier 10 from tier 1. Okay, we are going to start off with, of course, T1. Back to the garage. As you can see, this is the T1. Okay, we hit research, and this is the research part of the T1. When you first start off, all this has already been researched. None of this has been researched, including these tanks here. Since we're going down the Turned line of the American line, we have to start off with the first tank destroyer. Okay, so for us to get to the T-18, all we have to do is research this tier 2 radio, which roughly costs 30 research credits. To get to the T-18, grind 110 more research points, and we get to the T-18. And one thing I'm going to do when I get to the T-18, I will take the crew off the T1, go to the tech tree, and actually put the crew on the T-18. Now the T-18 has 4 crew members, so I will have to buy 2 more crew members so the tank is able to run. That really doesn't matter that much right now, but we're going to grind these tanks up, and we're going to grind the crews up, as we're going along. So we're going to the T-18. Our goal is to get to tier 10. We're not worrying about all this stuff right here. All we're worrying about is getting to the next level. So to get to the T-82, which is the tier 3, all we have to do is research this gun right here, the 75 howitzer. It costs 600 research points to get. Okay, once we got the 600 research points, we go ahead and get that gun, and now we have to grind another 1050 research points to get the T-82. So as we're grinding that, we're going to be grinding the crew on this while we're getting the research points. And we got the research points, so let's go to the T-82. The T-82 carries 5 crew members, so I take the 4 crew members from the T-18, put them on there, and get another crew, so that gives us 5. So now we're grinding 5 crew members. Okay, I'm going to show you something here on the tech tree real quick. On the tech tree, we're right here at the T-82. Now we have 2 options. We can go to the M8-1A, or we can go to the T-40. Okay. Our goal is to get to the T-110E4. So if we fly like the crow, our next tank would be the M8-1A and T-49, the Hellcat, the T-25, the prototype, the T-30, and so on. The way I actually did it, I went to the T-40 to the Wolverine, then I jumped up to the Hellcat because you get another split in the tree, and then you can go from there to the E4. Eventually I'm going to try to get to the E3, and all I have to do is go back to my proc, get the T-28 researched, and start grinding from the T-28 to the T-95 to the E3. But we're going to show you how to do this quickly. So let's go back to the T-82. Since we're going to do this quickly, we're going to go ahead and research the M M81A. And as you can see, let me go back. So to get to the M81A, we don't have to research any of this. All we have to do is just grind our tanks until we get the 3,550 research points it takes to get to the M1A. So you save a lot of time and a lot of research points by not spending your research points to get these tanks here. You also save eventually a lot of silver. So we got that researched. And to get to the T49, all we have to do is research the 57 millimeter gun M1, which is 2,300. The number of crews on here is 4, so we end up putting one of those tankers into the garage, which we can pick him back up later, and we can grind the 2,350 research points to get this gun. Then all we have to do is worry about 10,500 research points to get the T49. Once we get to the T49, we have to grind to the Hellcat. To get to the Hellcat, we got to research the second turret and the 3-inch AT M7 gun to get to the Hellcat. Then we have to, after that, you have to grind 2,350 research credits to get to the Hellcat. One of the things that you might have to do, especially when you get to the higher tier tanks, because of the weight, you might have to research the next track, which in this case will cost 2,650 research credits. But that way you can go ahead and utilize that gun to get to the Hellcat. One thing that you can do once you get your goal, which is the Hellcat, and you decide you like the tank, you can come back and research everything else, or you just go ahead and dismiss the crew. Now we go to get rid of the tank after you transfer the crew onto the Hellcat. Now we're back up to 5 crew members on the Hellcat. So that one that we put in the garage, we can put him back on, plus the crew from the from the T49 we put on this tank. And now our goal is to get to the T25-2. To get to it, all we have to do is research 3 guns and a turret. Now, on the Hellcat, I would recommend, while you're going through this to get to the T25, I would recommend that you get the second tier tracks so you can put the turret on and the top gun on it, so you actually have more firepower and you can actually do more damage, which will end up eventually getting you more research credits. And as you can see, the higher the tier tank, the more, and the higher the gun, the more research credits it's going to cost. Like this one is going to cost you 4,600. This one's going to cost you 5,800. The turret itself is going to cost you 4,600. And the top gun is going to cost you 14,000 research credits. Then you have to grind 42,350 research credits to the T25-2. And we went ahead and did that. Now to get to the prototype, you're going to have to get this turret and the tier 8 gun. So once again, you might want to go ahead and spend 9,000 credits to get the tracks, but that way you get to utilize the turret and the gun on this one, and it gives you a little bit more firepower. But as you can see, the higher the tier, the higher the research credits. And this one is going to cost you 102,000 research credits to get to the proc. We got to the proc. Now this tank here, and I'm going to warn you, if you decide to go through the American line, American turret line, this is the tier 8 is actually the longest one to do in this thing, because for some reason it took forever for this to grind but it eventually ends up being worth it because you end up getting to the T30. To get to the T30, you have to research these two guns here. And one thing I definitely recommend is go ahead and spend the 15,000 research points to get the next tier tracks, so you can utilize the tier 10 gun on a tier 8, which gives it a lot more damage and a lot more firepower. Okay, now the T30, all you have to do is research this tier 10 gun. I would also recommend you research the tracks, which is going to cost you 22,500 research credits, and the gun itself is 51,000. But that way, you research the tracks, you get a little bit more maneuverable speed and a little bit faster, but it increases your load weight, which allows you to carry this gun. And then go ahead and research the 110E4. After you have researched 110E4, you can always go back and research the top gun, which is the 155, the top radio, the tier 10 radio, the tier 10 engine, to get to the 110E4. Now, remember, every time we move up to another tank, we're transferring the crews from the previous tank. So this way, when we get to the 110E4, our crew is pretty well ground up, and as you can see, everything's already there for you. So all you have to do is actually just grind the tank and play the tank and get the experience. Let's go to the garage here for a second. Go to TDs. One thing I did do is I cheated and kept the crew on the T30. And as you can see, since I ground the T30, I have 3 perks on this crew. And you also see their different ranks. This is a first lieutenant, a second lieutenant, first sergeant, tech sergeant, and a first sergeant. This guy here, somehow he got lost in the shuffle. I don't know what happened, but I ended up putting another crew member on this when I was grinding this tank, and I ended up grinding the perks on it. But I kept the crew on it because I fell in love with this tank, and I decided to keep the crew on it. So what I did when I was playing this tank, I already decided I was going to keep the crew on it. What I did is I went ahead and bought the T-34 Heavy, which looks almost identical to that. But I took a crew, and all I did, since this is a leaded tank, you have this option of accelerated crew training, and I checked that box. So any and all experience learned in the battles goes straight to my crews, which helps grind the crews a lot quicker. So when I was grinding the T30 to get to the 110E4, I was also grinding the crew on the T34. So when I got to the 110E4, I took the crew off the T34 here and actually put the crew on the 110E4. And as you can see, they have one complete perk when I did it, and now they are learning their second perk. And what you have to do is this. As you can see, I've already converted the crew to the E4. But when I took them to T34, it would say they would not be able to play this tank because they're trained for the T34. What you have to do is go to the training button here, and like I said, they were trained for the heavy tank, and check the tank destroyer, click current vehicle, and you have the option of retraining them at 100%, which right now this is on sale for 100 gold. It's usually 200 gold. Or they can retrain their training at 90%, and this is usually cost you 20,000, not 10,000, because they're on half price sale right now. So it would cost me, since I got a crew of 5 here, it would cost me either 1,000 gold to retrain the crew, or it can cost me 100,000 gold silver to train the crew at 90% and thus grind the crew up to 90%. I went ahead and paid the I went ahead and paid the 1,000 gold to get the crew trained up. And one good thing about it is, whether it's 80%, 90%, or the 100%, they still retain the skills and perks that they learned from the other tank. The only thing is they don't work until you're 100%, and they don't. They do work while you're at less than 100%, but they don't gain any experience until you're at 100%. Apologize for that. I got a little confused. So if you get the 90%, this camel skill will not go up until it reaches 100%. Then at the 100%, it will go ahead and start grinding on the camel skills, get that camel skill up. So I hope this helps you understand on how to grind the crew, how to grind to a tier 10 quickly. Any and all tanks that you like playing in this tech tree, let's say the Hellcat, and you decide you're going to go through this line, and you decide you want the Hellcat, you can always go learn, stay on point, grind what you need to grind to get to the next tier. If you decide you want to keep the tank, still transfer the crew from this tank to this tank, put a new crew in here, and then you can start grinding this section right here to improve the tank and also improve the skills. Because once you end up researching everything in here, the tank will reach elite status, which then go back to the garage. Once the tank has reached elite status, you can always hit accelerated crew training, and all the research credits that you earn go straight to the crew, which accelerates their training. Instead of getting a third, they get 100%, which helps generate their rating. The higher the rank, the more experience that they have, which improves all the skills that they've learned. The more skills that they learn, the better the tank improves, and vice versa. The higher the rank, the better the tank improves. So it is good to always hit your accelerated crew and grind that crew up to the maximum possible. So I hope this helps you. And if you have any questions, please leave comments. If you like this video, you like it on YouTube, leave comments on YouTube's, or leave comments in our forum. Thank you and have a good day.